What's up? My name is Garrett Yogurt on Twitter, YOOGRRTT. Thank you so much for tuning into the Now Notation YouTube channel. Welcome back to another, just recap, I guess. Today we are just going to talk about a couple albums that I really highly recommend for this year. We're definitely over the halfway point if you calculate the days in 2019. So why not give a little update on just a couple albums if you haven't actually listened to these. These are the most essential ones. According to me, they're just my favorites so far of the year. Completely biased. This is completely off the cuff and just my opinion. Starting off with Yung Gravy's Sensational. This album did everything that I was looking forward to it doing. And all of these will have reviews on the channel. So if you want a more in-depth look on what I think about some of these, there are reviews for these. But Yung Gravy, Sensational. I thought he did a fantastic job as far as showing me what it could actually be as far as a full-length album with this kind of meme character persona. Is it just going to be like Weird Al or like a Little Dicky? And it's much different. It definitely still has like a high emphasis on like good music and not so much just making you laugh, but he still manages to do both. And I felt like the samples as well as just the crazy amount of features on this thing just kind of created a cool little package. And yeah, Yung Gravy, Sensational. Definitely check that one out. Zalooper's Wild Card. This one was one that I didn't know I would like as much as I did, and I wasn't really like, I didn't have any like partial feelings towards it either. Like when Zaloopers is, when he's putting out an album in 2019, I don't know what to expect necessarily because he had like a lot of buzz, I feel like, back in 2014 with Help. And then, you go into Bothic in like 2015, 2016. And then after that, my relationship with the music kind of fell off. I still played those two albums, but I definitely would be lying if I said I was staying up to date and definitely checking out everything that he did. But after hearing this and just getting my face rocked as far as like just being catapulted with like 9 tracks of just fucking great storytelling. Just really felt like he refined his sound, and he did it again later on in the year with the song or the album Dynamite. Mixtape maybe, whatever, but this one is the one that I would pull out and be like, this is my favorite. This just told so many cool stories. Delirious is literally track number 3, and it is my favorite Zlooper song like ever. So a lot to stand on this one, and just kind of came out of nowhere, and just again fucking, you can't ask for more when that happens with an artist where like you kind of fell off for a little bit and then they come back better than ever, just when you think like that isn't necessarily possible, because it's not easy to do. Not very many people do have like a comeback season, and Zalooper's putting out 2 albums so far in 2019. Definitely feel like he's on that same cusp, same race, whatever you want to call it. Oliver Francis, Crown of Death EP, just 5 tracks, but he did it all himself. Super impressive. Production, some of the best of the year in my opinion. Dead or Alive freestyle is literally one of the craziest, half instrumental, half just great lyricism. Like he lets this song just build up, and then he just goes in harder than ever. And that's kind of what Oliver Francis' motto is on this thing, I feel like, is just going hard as ever and just here to fucking prove a point, and you better fucking listen. And if you aren't listening after hearing this thing, then I don't know what you're looking for from him, because this man, I feel like, has the potential to just take over the fucking industry. It's just his like respect for himself, kind of, to stay as independent as he has, and not like to really work with as many people as like most people do. Like he doesn't really take paid features. He's not giving out beats that he makes, and he really is one of the coolest producers in my opinion. Kind of mastered the Cloud style of like beats, the loftiness of that like whole camp from like Young Lean on, but really just found his own niche and like spin on it. And then also he just can kind of do any other fucking style of beat. Like this man has a cool ass catalog of music where if you go through, like there really isn't one sound that you're not finding. And he used to just produce like instrumentals and like lo-fi shit, so it kind of makes sense. Like the whole vibe and ambiance of like him is just that like knowing that's the roots of it, that makes sense. And this is just like the best of that. And yeah, caught me by surprise in a way that I wasn't expecting to be as goddamn good as it was. Next up is Cal Scrubby's Unsigned. Cal Scrubby was not somebody that I really even knew about before 2019. So coming into this year, me and my roommate Greg, Baby Flex Films, go follow him. We'd been bumping this a shit ton, and it just came to the point where I was like, holy fucking shit, I think this is a great ass album. I think it's really masterful. I think his ability to rap is unfucking rivaled in some cases, and just his catchiness with the hooks. And then you find out that he produced it all himself, and then you're just like, okay, this guy's really goddamn talented. He has such a good feel for himself, and like that's something that is so hard to do, where you just have such a cool level of authenticity. And I feel like Kyle Scrubby just is one of the most authentic spitters like I've heard in a long time, in my opinion. Like he just has been through it all, from like being in a label situation, and then kind of putting out albums with that, having songs with like Chris Brown back in like 2015, and then to kind of get to this point where he's unsigned and by himself and just kind of killing it harder than ever, and like having almost more to prove. It's just a cool ass fucking story to kind of see unfold and actually work out as well as it did. So yeah, number 4, definitely would recommend this one, Kyle Scrubby, Unsigned. This is in no particular order as well. Last one, this one I didn't know if this was gonna make the top 5, but you know what, the last 5 tracks on this thing just solidify it as like my favorite run of tracks in all of 2019 so far. And without that, I wouldn't have as much fun, just period. Just when I put on this album, it's just so goddamn fun. And that's Son of Serpentine, Ramirez. And yeah, man, like honestly, if you start at 2-Step Stevie and you work your way down to the end of this album, you will not be disappointed. It is so goddamn good. It's like ridiculous how good it is at times, where you're just like, these are all banger ass tracks, but also are all different in their own way, but also all utilize just the ridiculous flow that Ramirez has. And like, again, I love him as the storyteller. Like I like him as the voice telling the stories that like are on this album, as well as just like any story. Like I just like the way that he formulates like just his wordplay, as well as just like what he's trying to convey is done in such a like masterful way. And like I really feel that, especially on the last like 4 or 5 tracks. But the whole album's fire. Like it definitely maintains that same bar. So yeah, go check out Son of Serpentine, as well as all these tracks again: Young Gravy, Sensational, Zaloopers, Wild Card, Oliver Francis, Crown of Death EP, Kyle Scrubby, Unsigned, and Ramirez, Son of Serpentine. I want to also shout out a couple ones that I'm listening to right now. I really am enjoying Jaden's Iris. It's definitely Iris. But that album is, reviews coming soon. But holy mother of God, that thing is so interesting. I'm struggling with a review right now, but I'm enjoying that thing tenfold. And I also want to shout out Tom the Mailman's Yuki Onna. I really, that's another one I'm struggling with, because I think it's really goddamn good. But there's also just so many layers to that thing that I wasn't ready to put it on this list. But those 2 I would also shout out, as well as a couple other ones. But there's a bunch of reviews on this channel just from 2019 alone. Tribute the Kid's been having a cool ass year. So just, you know, take it with a grain of salt. These are just the ones that I like. But what do you like? What are your 5 albums that you want to recommend for this year? Let me know in the comment section below. You can follow me on Twitter at YoGRRT, YOOGRRTT, Instagram as well. Now annotation on those 2 platforms as well. Thank you so much for tuning into this channel. Take care of yourselves, and that is all.